Jesus Christ, can these characters' lives get any worse? Stick around, the answer may surprise you, considering it's yes. The final batch of Arcane episodes have been released, or no. Wait a second. The final batch of Arcane Season 1 episodes have been released, and now we can all definitively say that Arcane is one of the best shows currently on Netflix. We did it, guys! Great job! Pack it in! You won TV! Good job, kid. You're gonna go places. I can see it. You're a natural. I do want to make a quick disclaimer, though, before I get into what I loved about this arc. As you'll notice, I did make the distinction that this is only the end of Season 1 of Arcane, and that's an important distinction to make. Because this week, Arcane showed up to my place, edged me for about 2 hours straight, and then suddenly grabbed their keys and left my apartment without saying another word. And I'm like, wait, come back. And Arcane was like, sorry, that's all. Guess you'll just have to wait till next year. And I'm like, just give me like 3 more episodes. At least finish some of what you started. And Arcane's all, no finishing. And I'm like, please? You guys... You guys know what I'm talking about? Like, I didn't expect this to be a one and done season. I was hoping there'd be more. But I don't know, is it just me, or were you guys kind of hoping there'd be a few more loose ends tied up in this final arc? Last week, I said that Arc 2 was a lot of setup, and I was looking forward to this arc paying some of that off. And excuse my Shakespearean, but boy, egg doth be on my face with this one, because really, almost nothing is paid off at all. It's just... You know, it's just more Arcane. But thankfully, Arcane is sick. Like, I didn't expect them to wrap the whole show up, but I don't know. When I finished this arc, I was kind of just like, that's the final 3? No more episodes? This is the season? This season ends with an awesome cliffhanger, and I have absolutely no idea where things are gonna go from here. But it does kind of just stop. And again, I guess there's nothing really wrong with that, considering Season 2 has already been confirmed. So these plot threads will continue to develop. I just want to temper you guys' expectations when going into this finale, in case you guys were dumb like me and for some reason forgotten that shows have multiple seasons. With that being said, yeah, it's more Arcane. And Arcane has done an excellent job at making sure that each of its arcs expands and complicates its world even further. What's really impressive about this writing is that the scope of the world keeps expanding, but it isn't just for the sake of showing us how many characters or nations they can stuff into this show. Each new faction and character added to the story serves to put pressure on the already tense and complicated conflict happening in Piltover. Every time someone new is introduced, you're just like, ah, Christ, now what? Which really makes you feel just how messy the political landscape is becoming. This arc introduces us to the nation of Noxus, a militaristic empire that wants to use Jace's Hextech technology to aid them in an upcoming war. There's a power struggle brewing in the Undercity as the other crime lords controlling it are beginning to turn on Silco. We learn more about the Firelights, that mysterious faction that attacked Jinx and Vi at the end of Arc 2. This arc leaves us in such a complicated spot politically, and it feels like we're just one accident away from breaking out into a world war. We also get introduced to my new favorite character, Mel's mom, who is an absolute tank of a woman. Mel's mom is thicker than a goddamn cheesecake. Hold the cheese, double the cake. She's like 9 feet tall, wicked intimidating, constantly fucking this soft little Piltover boy. It's fitting that she's always drinking cranberry wine, because she can absolutely cram my berries till I whine any day she'd like. I really like Mel's mom. She's a Noxian general with a super intimidating presence, and the implications tied to her being in Piltover are really exciting. I don't want to get into too much of her shtick, because it kind of gets into spoilers, but she's awesome anytime she's on screen. And we got Victor, who's just fucking going through it. Don't get me wrong, I love Victor. He's an incredibly well-written character. They're taking him in a really compelling direction. But can his life get a little fucking better? Please? Can anybody's life get a little better, please? Like, what even is the happy ending for any of these characters? When's that coming? Heimerdinger cracks a smile at one point in this, so... You know, that was exciting, but I really do love the fucked up direction Victor's storyline is going in, even if it means turning my chill boy into a sad boy. In terms of the rest of the cast, though, I'd say this arc has the least amount of Jinx, Vi, and Silco, which was a little disappointing considering their story is definitely my favorite. What is here of them is great. Every episode, Jinx's story gets a little more tragic without feeling gratuitous or repetitive. She's still the best character in the show in my opinion. But unfortunately, she's a character in Arcane, which means her life is absolute hell. If you're afraid that her life would get any easier after the first 2 arcs, first of all, what a weird fear, you sick freak. And second, you unfortunately have nothing to worry about. I am upset anytime Jinx fucking exists. And really, That's just a testament to how good this character writing is. I went into it a little in my previous review, but what makes Jinx such an incredible character is that you feel both a mix of fear and sadness every time you see her. She's a terrifying menace, but you understand how she got to this point. And unfortunate circumstances keep pushing her closer and closer to the edge of madness. Every tragedy that befalls her makes her feel more sympathetic and terrifying, and it makes her a really complex character. The stuff with Silco in this arc is a little disappointing in my opinion. You get more insight into his relationship with Jinx, as well as his motivation behind trying to achieve the Undercity's independence. This makes him a little more morally gray rather than straight up evil, which is objectively a better, more three-dimensional character. But he's also a lot less threatening in this arc, which made him a little less interesting to me as well. I love Silco because he's terrifying, cold, and unpredictable, and he isn't really any of those things in this finale, which again is fine. It does make him a more dynamic character, and you see his arc develop. Unfortunately, he's also, like, barely in this act at all. I think if I went back and rewatched these episodes 1 through 9 in order with no breaks, this wouldn't really be as big of a problem to me. But I think having to wait a week in between these 3-episode chunks makes his absence a little more noticeable in this last one. Silco was such a strong, terrifying presence in the first arc, and now in this third arc, they're kind of making room for new characters, which again is an objectively positive thing. It just takes away from some of the other character stories. Like I said, this arc focused heavily on Piltover and the evolving political climate of Runeterra, and in that, the more personal story revolving around Jinx, Vi, and Silco gets pushed to the side a little. But again, I still love this arc, and this season as a whole is incredible. This season feels like the prologue to an epic story that's going to span across the entire world of Runeterra. And that's super exciting for the future. Arc 1 told an incredibly personal and tragic story about two sisters trying to fight against an oppressive society. Arcs 2 and 3 expand far beyond that, telling a story about the moral implications of technological advancement, political tension, and corruption. That story sets up a ton of exciting things for the future, but it was the personal story that made me fall in love with this show in the present. But yeah, Arcane Season 1, what a ride. What a sad, brutal ride you wish you never bought tickets for. Every time you think you're gonna get off it without throwing up, Riot's just like, psych bitch, 3 more loop-de-loops. I love how seriously they took this story. The characters are complex and dynamic. They all end up in a way different spot than they began. And the way this season ends, you know they're gonna change dramatically in Season 2. There's no going back after what happened this season, and character relationships are never gonna be the same. The world is massive and well-developed, and the stories are only going to get more tragic from here. And I'm happy to say that I can't wait for Season 2. If you guys like this video, please consider liking and sharing. Let me know in the comments what other videos you'd like to see me do in the future. And I will see you guys next time.
I come from the south side where they fill with the liquor. Drink this and let the body flicker. Water drips on your tongue like honey. Everybody in the sundress, and it's sunny out.